Welcome to the lecture on scientific writing. Myself, Dr. D.S.V.Z.K. Kaladar, Associate Professor, Microbiology and Bioinformatics, UTD, Atal Bihari Vajpayee University, Bilaspur, Chhattisgarh. In this lecture, we'll generally find about what is the insight into research, and also we'll know about the definition of scientific writing, and also can be understood about the basic concepts of scientific writing. Coming to insight into research. According to Collins Dictionary, the insight can be explained as a perspective and often sudden understanding of a complex situation or a problem. And research can be defined as systematic investigation to establish facts or principles or to collect information on a subject. Many research papers have insights that are based loosely off and certain opinions. These are produced by performing research to try and confirm such opinions as facts. Researchers can always write about how the perceptions were correct or incorrect based on the research that find in work. Scientific writing is not just writing about science, it is the technical writing that scientists do to communicate their research to others. Well, let us see about the definition of scientific writing. Scientific writing is a technical form of writing that is designed to communicate scientific information to other scientists. Some important hallmarks of professional scientific writing are: 1. Its primary audience is other scientists. Because of its intended audience, student-oriented or general audience details, definitions, and explanations, which are often necessary in lab manuals or reports, are not terribly useful. Explanation, general knowledge concepts, or how routine procedures were performed actually tends to obstruct clearly, make the writing wordy, and detract from its professional tone. Second point, it is concise and precise. A goal of scientific writing is to communicate scientific information clearly and concisely. Probably ambiguously, woody, and redundant language run counter to the purpose of the writing. The third is it must be set within the context of other published work. Because science builds on the character itself over time, scientific writing must be situated in the reference the finding of previous work. Coming to basic concepts, a scientific paper is a written and published report describing original research results. The purpose of scientific writing is to communicate scientific research findings to other people. The types of scientific writings are: the first one is peer-reviewed journal articles presenting primary research. The second, grant proposals, or the grants which is proposed by the governments, like science with funding. The third one is literature reviewing articles, for summarizing and synthesizing research that has already been carried out. Coming to the general considerations for scientific writing. 1. Thoroughly understand your sources. That means what the sources which you have to be generated will be depend upon the scientific writing. The second is support everything with evidence and distinguish fact from possibility. The third one, know your audience. Whoever been working in your group has to be collaboratively do your research and has to be finding to the new ones. The fourth point, never make your readers work harder than they have to. Coming to the characteristics of good scientific writing. The good scientific writing has these 6 main points according to my observation. The first one is it should be clear. It avoids unnecessary detail. It should be simple. It uses direct language, avoiding vague or complicated sentences. Technical terms and jargon are used only when they are necessary for accuracy. The third is impartial. Impartial means it must be avoid making assumptions. Everyone knows that an unproven statement. It can never be proved that it presented how and where data were collected and supports its conclusion with evidence. output what is structured logically. Ideas and processes are expected in the logical order. The text is divided into sections with clear headings. The fifth one is accurate. It avoids vague and ambiguous language such as about, approximately, almost like. The sixth one is objective. Statements and ideas are supported by approximate evidence that demonstrates how conclusions have been drawn as well as acknowledging the work of others. There are 7 elements of scientific paper. The first scientific paper has to be having 1. Title, 2. Abstract or summary, 3. Introduction, 4. Methods, 5. Results, 6. Discussion, 7. Works which has to be cited, and 8. The appendices which has to be added with your research support. This is the elements. So here we can be presenting about how the poster has to be designed very effectively. The left side corner has to be having logo with abstract number, and in the topmost it should get the title, declaration title that gives the study conclusion. The title should be large so that the text on the read from the distance of 8 to 10 feet, and followed by the list of authors which has this affiliation details with email and addresses. And in the left side it should contain abstract and introduction with background, rationale, objective, hypothesis, etc. Material and methods which include experimental design and statistics to be used, and in the middle the results which provide clear context of the finding highlighted with the observation, and in the right side discussion which provides systematic interpretation of the study result. The conclusion which includes summary and key findings, key references, acknowledged elements, and if possible in the below you can write about which has to be presented in science. Coming to the concepts which is to be used in the scientific writing. The first one is abstract. Most frequently read section of the paper is abstract. It must be concise and complete. Brief introductory sentence to topic, that is clinical issues addressed. The background or the purpose of experiment has to be clearly mentioned in this abstract. Methods, brief description of study design. Results, using actual values or static major trends and findings from results. Conclusion, some of the discussion starting the major contribution of your study has to be written. Note, do not include brand names and try to avoid abbreviations. After abstract, introduction is also a main part of scientific writing. How to write an introduction? Let us see. The introduction has how the general writing in present tense establishes the framework for the entire paper. The background information that leads to a clear statement of the specific issues of researcher's paper will address, like the topic. An argument that justifies the study. Why did researchers write this paper or conduct this research? How does it relate to other work? You have to justify. A brief explanation of the results and conclusions can be able to be written in the scientific writing in the introduction part. Stick to the point. Only include information that is directly relevant to the paper. Material and methods, or simply methods, has also one of the main components. It should be generally written in past tense. A balanced level of detail enough to replicate others' results without overclaiming your reader. Remember, it should be precise. How did author collect the information and what did author do with it has to be clearly mentioned. Include formulas, measurements, software, locations, test subjects, and inventions, everything in this material and methods or methodology. Consider any factor that may have influenced your results. The results is also one of the main components in scientific writing. Usually, results should be written in past tense. What did author find out has to be clearly mentioned with figures and tables. Presentation of author's results without interpretation. Do not exclude information, even if conflicts with the expectations or with present hypotheses. Discussion is also found the main role about your research paper. How to mention the discussion? Typically, discussion should be written in present tense. What do the results mean? What did author expect and why? Did the results match author's expectations? How do author's results compare to the work of earlier researchers? Based on author's results, what questions will the author ask or write next? Remember to clearly distinguish facts from possibilities. Sometimes some research papers can be combined with results, so mentioning as results and discussion. After writing the results, the research paper can have the conclusion. The conclusion should be precise in 4 to 6 lines. It should also conclude the topic very narrowly. After conclusion, the acknowledgements or the conflict of interest can be mentioned. The final research paper have the references. Based on the research paper, the reference format vary with journals. Hence, some of the journals can have as MLA format, or APA format, or Chicago format, or Harvard format, or Vancouver format. Coming to conclusion, the scientific writing is one of the important components in research. The scientific writing is writing about scientific subject matter in a non-technical way or writing that reports scientific observations and results. The characteristics of good scientific writing includes clear, it avoids unnecessary detail, it should be simple, it uses direct languages, avoiding vague or complicated sentences. A goal of scientific writing is to communicate scientific information clearly and concisely. Flowery, ambiguous, wordy, and redundant language run counter to the purpose of the writing. These are the references used for my presentation. Thank you.